Seconds. We are live.
All right, good. I thought you said I had a few seconds. Hi. Hey, welcome to Lowballing. This is Joe again. Alan is here as well. Tonight we have Sean Liscom. He is the author of the series that starts with The Ranch. What is the name of the series again?
It's the Legacy series.
The Legacy series. I've read the whole series other than the last book, which is fired up on Audible for me. I'll probably be getting to that next week. Want to let you know that this is a Weird Realities production, and I hope you enjoy the show. So, as we've been emailing each other back and forth, you mentioned that you are you a good friend to NC Reed's?
I know NC Reed. I'm friends with him on Facebook. I've read a lot of his stuff, a lot of the Fire from the Sky series. So
Sure.
yeah, and he and I are both covered under the same publisher over at Creative Text.
That's awesome. That's awesome. NC Reed was our first guest on this show. Wasn't he? I don't even know if it was a year ago. I don't keep track of time very well.
A year ago.
He's an awesome guy.
Yeah.
He is. He has some great series. But your series and his Fire in the Sky series follow us. I guess I'd call it a similar timber or a similar theme.
Mhm.
You know, with the basically, you know, in post-apocalyptic scenarios, you have a lot of people who run away to an island or to a secluded place. And both your series and his series, you're not in a city, but you don't run very far. And
Correct,
you
yeah.
kind of you secure your own area and things of that nature. Now, the area that you're writing about, you're beautifully descriptive with it, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
I want to know, are you native to that area? Do you know that area, or is it completely fabricated?
No, back in the day, I spent a lot of time fighting fire around Elko, wildland fires and whatnot, and got to be
Okay.
pretty familiar with it. You know, I changed a few things up just to keep it fresh and not pinpoint anybody, but yeah.
Sure.
That's funny.
Sure.
I worked with from Elko.
Pardon?
And I work with a kid from Elko, and he loves that area.
Oh, it's beautiful out there.
I've never been there. I've been here 5 years, and I've never been to Elko.
Gorgeous country.
Yeah.
Got the Ruby Mountains out there, and it's incredible.
Well, okay, this is going to be a probably a question you've been asked a lot. Why writing? Why publishing? Why writing?
Oh, that is a loaded question. I never set out to be an author. It was when I started writing The Ranch in 2016. My goal was never to publish. I was just going to print off a few copies, give them to some friends, and say, "There you go, I wrote a book." And then I had a friend of mine say, "Why don't you self-publish on Amazon?" I'd never even heard of it. And I used to read a lot of Kindle books, and it never dawned. I never made the connection. And so I started looking into it, and I'm like, you know, I could do that. So I did. And, you know, books 1 and 2 got published, self-published, and I was actually making a few bucks off of it. And I thought, you know, this is all right. I not bad. And then the company that I was working for at the time, we got bought out, and we found out that we were going to be closing the plant down. And I thought to myself, well, I got about a year to go find another job, or maybe I can make a go with this writing thing. And there was a long conversation with my wife, and we decided that, you know, I should start pouring my time and effort into writing, and it just kind of it blossomed from there. You mentioned NC Reed earlier, and Creative Text. Actually, I got an email from Dan over there, and at the time I was getting a lot of spam email from, you know, like vanity presses and stuff, you know, for the low price of $3,000, we can publish your book. And I would always just delete. And I almost deleted that email from Dan. And it was about a week before I came back to it, and I read it, and I'm like, nah, this can't be real. and I put it away for a week or so, and finally I went back to it, and I took it to my wife, and I showed it to her, and she's like, "You sure this is a scam?" I said, "No, I'm not." So I emailed him back, and we traded a bunch of emails, and I told Dan, "Okay, look, call me on this day at this time, and I'll answer you. We'll talk." I spent 2 hours in a casino parking lot talking to him on the phone, and it ended with, "Send me a contract." And here we are today. And I retired 2 years ago, and now I write books full time.
Nice. That's a lot of dreams right there.
Yeah.
So you weren't always thinking about writing then. It was just something.
I dabbled in it before, like back in high school, and every once in a while I would dabble in it, but it just never seemed like a path I could take. And apparently I was wrong.
You were a reader, were you not?
Oh yeah. I used to read a lot.
Yeah.
And
all of us did. I mean, voraciously. All of us indie authors are just kids in the 70s, 80s, and 90s that grew up in their basement reading books.
Yeah, that was our traveling to different worlds and stuff. That's how we got away.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
so this is a writing show, and I always like to ask some questions about your process in writing. Your characterization. Now, you kind of keep to a type of personality that is the good guy and the bad guys, like a lot of authors do. Tell me how you develop in your good guys scenarios the different personalities and their intricacies that keep them separate for the reader.
I try to bring a lot of emotional baggage along with my characters. I grew up around a lot of type A people. See this a lot with military type people, but I grew up around fire people, and there's a lot of type A personalities there, and a lot of that I think rubbed off, and I bring that into my characterizations of my people, and then I try to add that emotional baggage that a lot of type A people try to hide, and I tried to bring that out in my character.
I'm sorry, I'm only hearing about half the things here.
Oh,
you
okay.
Get a bad signal off your satellite, and
yeah, there we go. That any better?
Alan's playing Galaxy on his
phone. That any better?
Yeah, it's great.
Okay. So no, I grew up around a lot of type A personalities in the fire service, and I try to bring a lot of that type of personality to my characters, but I also try to bring along all the emotional baggage that the type A personality tries to hide, or tries to keep secret. And I think that gives me a good mixture of a real character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, do you add any of your characters firefighters or anything like that in your stories? Are they military, or are they?
There's a few that are military and based on actually people that I know. So I kind of had the blueprint for their characters there.
So you do, some of your characters are actual personalities that you've met in this world and you've transferred.
Yes.
Okay. Hi, Hadley. Go ahead. Hadley's our boss, and she's dropped in to say hi.
Hi, Hadley.
So, yeah, because I've read a lot of books where that is exclusively how people do their characterization, and I do it for a character here and there and a character here and there, but for the most part, my main characters, I like to fabricate them from scratch you know, a little bit of this and a little bit of that. And but your series is I'm kind of considering it a modern day Western. Would you disagree with that or agree with that?
I would not disagree with that. That is that's not a bad characterization of it.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Were you a Western author fan? Like, what's that guy's name? He's a goofy guy. I can probably only read about 60 or 80 of his books. Oh, Louis L'Amour. Have you ever read Louis?
I've read Louis. I used to read William Johnstone.
Okay.
You know, he actually crossed over into the post-apocalyptic there for a little while.
Right, he did.
Yeah.
So did no, he did. Louis L'Amour did this one called The Haunted Mesa, if you guys, or Mesa, if you guys have ever read that. And there he crosses into the interdimensional portal to find a lost race of native whatever he is.
I may have read that one.
Yeah. Very good.
Patriotic Bastard says, as a veteran, Sean got the personality type spot on. So that's that's good.
That's a compliment. Thank you.
Yes. There you go.
Are you a veteran, Sean?
No, sir, I am not.
Yeah.
I do come from a family that has veterans. My daughter's a veteran, and my dad, my grandfather, uncles. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a veteran either, and Alan's Air Force, so none of us are really veterans.
Thanks. But you've got the camaraderie, you've got the brotherhood, you know, from your firefighting. You know, it's still a brotherhood.
Yes.
You know, it definitely is that, and that really helps. So, and it shows.
Yeah, a lot of us have gone our separate ways over the years, but you know, we stay in contact. So, because it's like you pick up the phone and you may not have talked in 5 years, but here you are, and it's like you talked yesterday.
Right.
Is that what you did your whole life, was fight fires?
When I first started fighting fire in the summer of '89, I went to work for a contract fire company, and we fought fires all over the Western United States. By the time I was done there, after 10 years, I had gotten the honor of being the youngest engine operator in the company ever, the youngest engine captain in the company ever, and the youngest strike team leader in the company ever. And there again, you know, it's just those type A personalities pushing you. And
yeah.
All right.
So,
well, Patriotic Bastard says, I'm actually Sean's neighbor and very thankful, and I got the honor of meeting him. Well, that's very cool.
I think I know who this is. He's a good dude. Good dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's patriotic.
Yes, he is, to the core.
Well, did you ever have you moved out of this genre at all, or you have any ideas to move out of the genre? Or
well, with book 7 of the Legacy series, it is, I'm not going to say it's done, but it's done. So I'm actually got something in the works right now. And I'm close to finished with it, close to sending it off. It's post-apocalyptic, kind of zombie, but not really zombie, plague, a little bit of romance thrown in there. It's like I told Dan when I emailed him that it was almost done. I told him I didn't know how we were going to classify this one. So we'll see what he comes up with. I just write the books.
Maybe zombies are making a comeback, because I just saw an advertisement for NC Reed. Hate to mention his name. He better throw us some money or something for how many times we're mentioning his name. Right? Yep. Holy crap.
I saw that today too, and that's
but then he has a zombie book coming out. Yeah. So that'll be a fun read for me, you know. Yeah. I enjoy his work, you know. I mean, I could see where somebody would read his work and think it's too straight-laced or whatever. But personally, I think it's great. I think he's an incredible author. Yeah, and yourself included, because I wait for your books as well. I wait for Alan's books. I'm just a voracious reader and writer.
Now, do you read less?
Oh, I read so much less. I miss it. I do use Audible, but not nearly as much as I'd like to.
Right.
You know, usually when we make a trip to town, I'll listen to a book on Audible. But you know, I get 2 hours on the way in and 2 hours on the way home, and then I got to wait until the next time we go to town, or you know, when we're out tooling around. But most of my time is just spent writing.
We found, I find that with a lot of authors that we talk to, your reading time, you were a voracious reader beforehand, and then your reading times just took a dive when you start writing, because
big time.
It's just something about it. Because I love to read, but I probably read a book a year now.
Yeah. If I'm lucky.
Well, with Audible, Audible has made it so much easier.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't,
yes.
I don't, unless it's a short story, I don't think I read them anymore. It's really got to be on Audible for me to take the time, because like I'm a estimator for a construction company. I just built a shop in my backyard. I have a wife of 40 years that we have to spend time together in a house. It's like you just don't have time to sit down with a book anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if you got a headset on and I can listen to a decent narrator tell me a good story, I'm all about it. I think it's
absolutely
great.
Yeah.
But so you're not independent anymore. But did you go through that of hiring your own voice actor or anything?
When I was still doing this on my own, I kind of classify myself as a lazy writer, in that I just wanted to write the books. I didn't want to deal with any of the advertising or the hiring of the narrators. And to be honest, none of that would have happened had Dan not come along with creative text. And I'm extremely grateful for what he's done. One of the things he told me straight up is, he says, we can take this places that you never thought it would go. And he's done that. And I can't thank the guy enough for what he's done. He's enabled me to retire early so that I can do this full time. And when it comes to picking the audio narrators now, I do get a choice. And, we've tried to stick with Christopher Lane. Unfortunately, like with book 4, originally, we couldn't stick with Chris. That was through the whole 2020 debacle. And, there was no way to get him back to do book 4. And then when after all that cleared up, he contacted us and we got him back, and he redid book 4 for us. And
that was who was that you were using?
We use Christopher Lane, and yeah, and fantastic guy. But then for the last 2 books, book 6 and 7, from Tara's point of view, we used Aaron Moon. To be honest, hearing a guy do a woman's voice through an entire book would just kill me. So that was why I chose to switch narrators to Aaron, and she nailed the voice of Tara. And the voice that she used for Tara was the voice I was hearing in my head when I was writing it.
Well, most narrators, we've actually had voice actors on the show, and we talked to them, and that was a very educational show. I'd like to do it again with some different voice actors. But most of them don't do a female tone. They do like just a feeling.
Yes.
They make the words softer, the phrases softer, and it's almost kind of a natural thing that all of them do it kind of the same way. And it's really kind of amazing. So hearing a male do a female voice throughout a whole book, I don't think it would bother me. But I could see where it would bother someone else, but I don't think it would bother me.
Yeah.
Well, now, if I had someone who was trying to imitate a female voice, holy crap, I'd be like Geraldine, knock it off.
That's how the lady you dated sounded, Joe. That's so it probably doesn't bother you. Hey, John, Kelly says, "Go, Dad."
Thanks, Kel. That's my daughter.
Awesome. Awesome. And Ashel says, "Hey guys, just got home from work and he's checking in. He follows us a lot. Don't worry, Alan, I'll behave somewhat. I doubt it. He does not.
I wonder who that really is. I bet it's probably one of the administrators.
It's Scott Baker's cousin.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I won't give his name out. But so your publisher takes care of all that then mostly on the Audible, right? So you don't have to go, and you were happy with Chris Lane.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a narrator that you weren't happy with? I'm tongue tied.
This is why we had Chris come back and redo book 4.
Okay.
Because there's like this golden rule that if you've got a narrator in a series, you don't change narrators. You keep that narrator through the series, and having to switch to George really hurt book 4. And because a lot of people I don't think that they would give it its due just because it was a different narrator. And trying to, you go through 3 books with Christopher Lane and then all of a sudden he's not there. It's glaring. It sticks out.
Yeah. How about you, Joe? Is Joe frozen?
I'm listening to you. What was your question?
With the narrator, have you been happy with all your narrators?
No, I haven't.
Yeah.
Lately, I have. My first one was a really nice guy, and I was recommended to use him, and I don't think he put the feeling I was hoping for into it. Everything seemed to be very monetary with him, and that's kind of why I was spacing out. I want to kind of, was wondering if I wanted to. And plus, he said you should never change a narrator in the middle of a series. Well, guess what I did? I did. So, I wasn't disappointed in him, but I just thought for the money he wanted from me that it could have been a lot more.
Yeah.
Right.
Audio narrators
and even
yeah.
But even after interviewing the audio narrators now, I think I was taken a little bit, but that's neither here nor there. I won't say any names and I won't say any books, so nobody can hold anything. But yeah, I think I was taken for a ride. There's a lot of people you meet online in this business. A lot of them are, trying to get you to do things that are wrong, like the click farms.
Mm-hmm.
We've all seen authors that have crap stories out there and they're getting 1,500 likes inside of 3 weeks, and it's just or reviews I'm talking about. They'll get just phenomenal amounts of reviews and stuff. And you and I both know when you first put a book out there, you're waiting and you're watching and you're praying that it comes in good and not one of those little jerks that likes to do 1 stars. Personally, I don't trust 1-star reviews at all. I ignore them. 3-star to me is worse than a 1-star because I think a 3-star is legitimate.
Yeah.
And it's not somebody just being spiteful.
Yeah.
So I'll pay close attention to 3 stars, but
when they do take the time to actually write a review and it's a 1-star, sometimes I just got to ask myself, did you actually read the book that I wrote? Or
isn't that the truth?
Yeah.
It's just everybody, and you can't pay too much attention because in this, I guess you'd call it a gotcha society.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is so prone to chopping people down.
Yeah.
I was born in 1960, and growing up, it wasn't that way for me. People built you up, people encouraged you, people supported you.
Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem to be that way anymore.
And that's sad, you know. I mean, it's just now you're presumed racist before you're presumed human, you know. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Let me read this real quick.
Uh-huh.
Patron Bastard, I get the feeling we'll be seeing a scenario much like book 1 very soon. Yeah. And Ashhole says, Sean, don't know you, but I'll check out your books just because of your background.
Oh, thank you.
Scott Baker's brother-in-law. Let me get that right. I'm sorry, not his cousin.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You know, as far as the scenario, it's I'm going to put myself out there and I'm going to say that, you know, I'm a bit of a prepper. I have been for a long time. And I've had to use my preps before, but I hope that I never have to use them for a situation like book 1. And that's, you know, it's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Right.
Now you said you're living completely off grid now?
Yes, sir.
You're generating your own electricity? Or are you getting solar? Or
we're 100% solar with generator backup.
Okay.
All of our water comes from a natural spring just up the road, right out of the ground.
Okay.
You know,
now you heat with electricity, or you heat with LP?
We heat with diesel oil, diesel fuel.
Diesel oil.
Mm-hmm.
So you still have to get that delivered.
We actually go through about 25 gallons a month. So when we make our shopping run, we stop at the fuel and fuel up.
25 gallons a month. That's not bad at all, actually.
No.
You know, I mean, a truck holds more than a regular pickup truck holds more than 25 gallons.
My 1 ton will burn that going to town and back.
Isn't that the truth? You know? Holy crap, that's not bad at all. And that's a forced air furnace on that, or a boiler?
It is. I don't know if you've ever heard of the Chinese diesel heaters. They were actually really popular over in Europe to begin with, and they're catching on over here now.
Not China?
A lot of them are actually made local, or, you know, made in the USA now. But
that was a bad joke. Sorry.
It actually, because we live in a tiny home, and it heats our tiny home just fine.
Tiny home, like what we see, like under 1,000 square feet.
200 square feet.
Holy crap, dude!
Okay. 200 square feet. We've got all the modern luxuries, you know, shower, sink, stove, all of it.
But your dog would take up the whole living room.
She takes up the whole bed.
Now was your family before, like your dad, was he into that stuff, or was this something you did on your own that you were interested in?
This was something that my wife and I have talked about for years. And then it was, you know, when the kids grew up and moved out, or were getting ready to move out, we decided, you know, we don't need the 3-bedroom, 2-bath anymore. We don't need to live this close to town. And we found our property, and we spent a couple of nights out there, and you don't realize how much noise creeps into your life. You know, just the traffic and all of it. You don't realize how much noise is there and how peaceful it is when it's not.
Right. Yeah, when I first moved out to the country, because I was born and raised in Minneapolis, and we bought a hobby farm out west, and our first couple months out there, with how quiet the nights were, I mean, well, until the coyotes started fighting with the cats under the bird feeder at 2 a.m. Then it got real loud, but that was a sound we were not used to.
Yep.
It's better though. It's better. You know, the nights are darker, stars are brighter. Yeah. Nights are quieter.
Absolutely.
Yep.
See, Ashel says, I was born in 72. The world has gone to shit. I'm a prepper also. I may or may not have owned 50 AKs and some other stuff. Ammo, not saying.
I've had people ask me, you know, how do I get into prepping? And the biggest asset you can have is what's between your ears. you can have everything. You can have the bunker at the ranch.
So wax, you're saying? Wax?
That could be.
Yeah.
You can have the bunker at the ranch, but if you don't have some common sense and the ability to critically think, all the preps in the world aren't going to help you.
Yeah.
No. A lot of people confuse preppers with gun enthusiasts, where a prepper may have many guns, but a prepper doesn't have to have any guns. A prepper is somebody who is prepped to survive certain situations in whatever way they're comfortable with. So, I mean, having a lot of guns, I won't even ask you if you have a lot of guns. I don't care. I have guns. Judge me if you want. But it's more about food storage than it is about having guns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and a lot of people place a tremendous amount of weight on guns and ammo, and they're part of the equation. I mean, you need to be able to keep what you got,
right?
But
Absolutely.
There's so much more, and just taking classes in emergency medicine. You can go to your community college and get a first responder class, or basic first aid. Things like that, learning where to find water in your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
So self-sustaining is what you're claiming. So let me ask you a couple questions here. Not that I doubt you, but
no,
we gotta fill up a whole nother half hour. So I'm just going to start asking questions.
Sure.
How many acres are you using to grow your food to have enough to get through a year?
To be honest, right now we don't have a garden. We're still trying to figure out the soil. We're still trying to figure out what grows and what grows good where we are. I think that this spring is probably going to be a decent garden year. We do have a lot of storage, stuff put away that I don't have to worry about. It's going to be there. And we're still trying to fine tune the garden.
You see, that's probably where I would go wrong, because now you're trying to find the best thing that would grow where you're at and the type of soil you have, where I would be going, what can I grow that I can store? And I wouldn't be thinking of the type of soil I had, because I'd want to be growing beans, lots of beans. You dry beans, and if you've got enough of them dried, you're safe.
Yeah.
It's a bad winter over here too, though.
It's been wet.
Yeah.
And cold.
Yeah.
So, but you would actually get higher yields and be able to trade for the other things, because you'd get higher yields and you'd have product to trade.
Yeah.
Whatever that product was. And so there, right there, I would have screwed it up. I would have gone the other way and just grew what I thought I needed, and we wouldn't have gotten enough of any of it.
We found that tomatoes do really well, but not in the dirt. They grow well on our deck. We've grown some potatoes. Every time we tried to grow corn, the rabbits or the chipmunks get it.
Right.
So we're still working on fortifying that. But hopefully this year we can actually do a decent garden.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good. Let me read some of these real quick.
Okay.
Ash says, my dad was a Vietnam vet, grew up under duck and cover, and made me and my siblings realize when shit goes down, all you can depend on is blood. That's true. Brains and instinct, which you hit on right there. Bastard. Best way to start prepping is to imagine the worst case scenario and figure out how best to handle them. That makes sense. Definitely. And then Ashel has, I have vegan neighbors, grass-fed veal. and David Muga, who's another writer and a prepper of somewhat, survivalist. Corn is fun to grow for sure.
Yeah.
David referred to him as himself as a survivalist, didn't he? Yeah.
It just depends on what you want to call yourself. Some of us don't call ourselves anything. And going back to the comment about preparing for the worst case scenario, and I've told people that pick your absolute worst case scenario, whether it's an EMP or financial crisis or the zombie apocalypse. pick your worst case scenario. It doesn't matter what it is. The basics are all the same. And, just work backwards from there.
All right. That's good. That's good. In my stories, I don't have a lot of prepper type or survivalists at the moment.
Uh-huh.
Me, I'm pretty lame as a prepper. I mean, I had to learn how to store rice. Bought rice, put it in big old bucket, and it's like, wait a minute. This. Okay, let me learn. Let me go on the computer. Let me read. Let me talk to some people. Okay,
we have all made that mistake.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was big first one.
Uh-huh.
And there's a lot. There's a lot to learn,
Yep. Just
There
about the time
is.
you think you're set, you figure out you're not.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Yeah, I am not a prepper. I live for the day, I guess you'd say. To replace dips if zombies come, I'm food. I'm fodder. I'm not going to even outrun a slow zombie.
Well, I hope I'm around when it happens, Joe. That way I can get away.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the one you want to bring camping because the bear's going to catch me.
And I'll know that's what you wanted.
I never wanted to be a martyr, Alan. I never wanted to be a martyr. So what do you believe is the most important, or when you're writing a novel, what do you focus your energies on in order to make it as good as you possibly can? Like, are you focusing on the characterization? Are you focusing on the plot line, the overall storyline? I mean, what is your magical brush when you're putting your story together?
Yes. No, I try to bring believable characters.
Okay.
People that the reader can relate to. They've with all their warts and everything. I am a linear pantser when it comes to writing. I have to start at the beginning and I have to write all the way to the end.
That's pretty much how I go.
Yeah. And I do it. I don't have any notes. I don't have any outlines, nothing.
No, neither do I.
I just fly by the
I
seat of
don't
my
either.
pants and my characters tell me where we're going. Sometimes I got to yell at them, but
Yeah, I kind of let the characters take me wherever they're going to go, which leads to cutting a lot of parts out.
It can be crazy. It can be crazy because I had a main character in a book I thought was going to be a standalone, ended up being a series. I killed him off, but it flowed. So I had to write this damn series backwards, which it works, but I had to, like I painted myself into a corner, and then I had to figure, an egress, and I did it. So you got to go where the characters take you.
And
I had a guy and a girl trapped in a house, and the house was getting shot with a 50 caliber machine gun, and it's like, somebody's got to die, and the girl was cute, so there went my protagonist.
You followed your hormones.
Yeah, generally when I start writing a story, I have an idea of where I want it to go. I have an idea of what I want in the way of a bad guy or the antagonist. But as far as the little intricacies of the story, they just kind of happen. And there will be times that I do most of my writing at night, and I will sit down at the computer at 9:00 at night and start writing and not let up until 2:00 in the morning. Wow. Then there are nights that I will sit down and start writing, and I will get 10 words and I just don't know where the hell to go then. So, it's weird when it happens, and you just run with it.
Your antagonist was so over the top, and you want him, but you had a way of making him you made people want to like him. You made people want to believe that he was a good guy. I'm talking about I don't want to say who he was because people can find that out when they read it on their own. But the true antagonist, because you have multiple antagonists in it, but there's one main true antagonist, and I wanted to like him. I wanted him to turn around and be a good guy,
Yep.
And then I want to give you kudos on that characterization because he really worked for me. I thought I did really well.
He was fun to write.
Not to give out. It's hard not to give out too much information to ruin the story for anyone else, but
that's some good. That's like realist, because people that are you want to like them, but they're a-holes. They're just they see them as the hero of their life, and you see them as the villain of everybody around. So that's some great writing there to do that, be able to do that with a character,
to bring him in, and I know exactly which character he's talking about. And he was so much fun to write, and I mean, just because he could be so bombastic sometimes, but there was one antagonist in book 2, and this one kind of hit hard because the antagonist was based on a friend of mine, a very close friend of mine. And I told him when I started writing book 2, hey, I'm going to write you as the bad guy here. And he said, awesome, man. Just make sure I go out in a blaze of glory. And before I could finish book 2, he died in an apartment fire. And so, I mean, I really had to bring it, to make his character go out the way that he would have wanted him to go. So, and it's hard when real life events, interdict themselves into things like this.
Right.
It
is tough. I haven't used any of the personal tragedies in my life in any stories yet. Mainly because they're mundane. I mean, brother dies of alcoholism. Okay, I could use that a little bit, but otherwise, mom grew old and died. Dad had a heart attack. It's like this is not story material. But you still use those personal tragedies that you've lived through and that you've experienced. You use those to put the emotion into the characters and into the story you're writing. But anyways, I wasn't really going anywhere. I was filling airspace there, guys.
Like
reminiscing. Should I have some scotch or no? So I'm excited for the new series. You said it's going to be kind of like zombies and
zombies, yes and no, kind of maybe. I'm not sure exactly what we're going to call them yet.
Do you like are you a fan of zombie? Anything?
I love the zombie genre. I watching it, reading it, and I used to read a lot of it, but now I try to catch the shows, and so many of them are just. It's almost like the zombies don't matter anymore.
Yeah,
they're focusing on other things. I haven't been able to watch the Last of Us. I want to check that one out, but it's a tricky genre to write, I think, just because it has been done so much.
Yeah. As soon as they came out with The Walking Dead and it was successful, you had to understand that every TV show with zombies was going to have that flavor for the next 10, 20 years,
Yep.
And it's too bad. Thankfully, it didn't happen with movies,
Yeah.
Otherwise, everything would be like Romero's original over and over and over again, which it didn't go that way. But with TV shows, it's like they find something successful and they just keep on hammering it, hammering it.
Yeah.
Which is too bad. We've had a lot of zombie authors on here. We've had John O'Brien. Now most of the really popular ones, are not calling them zombies per se as much as they're calling them like either infected, like we did, like Alan and I did in the Five Roads to Texas series. And
Mm-hmm.
we had 5 authors write that one novel. Or like John O'Brien and W.J. Lundy and DJ Malls, they have the not predators. What did they call them? Oh, primals.
Primals.
You know, so it's there's some really, really cool creatures out there that are all based off of zombies, but have evolved so much.
Yes,
they really couldn't be considered zombies.
Yes, and I think that's kind of where I'm shooting in that neighborhood somewhere.
So they're going to be fast running.
Yep. You'll get all the good stuff.
Yeah, Born called zombies, right? Borns were zombies, I believe, right? JL. Yeah, but a lot of people go primals or rage induced if they don't want zombies, which is fine, which is great because it adds another dimension to the shuffling, shambling. I like that though. I do. I like them when they're crazed, like and you're running, because that's scary. When you got to really run and break a sweat, though, I'd get about they'd be on me because I'd be fast. But those are kind of fun. So I'm really looking forward to seeing this new series of yours, or reading it, or hearing it.
Thank you. Hopefully I'll have it to Dan by the end of the month. So
cool. Good.
Yeah, I like both. I like both slow zombies or
right
or fast zombies. I don't like smart zombies.
Yeah.
No. Like in our 5 Roads to Texas, they weren't really zombies because they weren't dead. Really, they were infected. And, and so I'll give it a shot. You know that
yeah.
I always have a headset on. And I'm always listening to something.
Yeah.
But
Apple says people are way more crazy than zombies. The people who survive are way more frightening because human nature is what people will do anything to live. And that is true.
Absolutely.
And then Kim says Juno was the surprise character ever.
That's my oldest daughter, and Juno the dog is based off of my dog. So yeah,
it's nice. Is your wife on here? Is Denise your wife?
Kim is my oldest daughter, and my wife is Denise. She's actually in the next room watching on TV with my other daughters and friends, and so
that's very cool. That's very cool that you've got that support. A shout out to your family. Thank you for tuning in on us.
Okay, he lives in a tiny house, so when he says in the next room, he's talking like he can reach around the wall and picture.
Actually came into town so we could be at my daughter's house for the high-speed internet and the microphone and the camera and all that. So
there you go.
For the fancy.
Cool. So you made an event out of this. I'm glad. Thank you for that.
And here the show broadcast off an iPhone. Computer died.
Yeah, it happens. No, as soon as you said yes to being on the show, it's like I contacted Alan right away. So we were both looking forward to having you on here tonight.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys. I mean, this is the first podcast I've ever been asked to do, and
you won't get them like this again.
I was so excited. I mean, I was just over the moon to get the invitation, and I can't tell you guys thank you enough.
No, most podcasters take themselves seriously, so it's going to be different for you on the next one.
Always got to have some fun. It's all what it's all about.
Well, we try not to be political. We like to talk about the prepper thing, and we like to talk about writing and so on your next series, as I was getting there eventually, is it going to be a one book, or are you going to do a series where it's going to go into a long involved plot line, or?
I went back and forth with this one for a long time while I was writing this, and I was at first I thought it was going to be a standalone. But the more I get into it and the closer I get to the end of it, I don't think it's going to be a standalone. I'm pretty sure it's going to be another series. And going back to my processes when writing, I actually have a folder on my computer that has all kinds of other excerpts, and some of them may be a paragraph, some of them may be 10 pages. And one of the ones that I was working on before I started this project, I just wasn't feeling it. But now that I've been working on this project, I may actually be able to go back to that one, do some rewrites, do some reconfiguring, and take it away for the next book in this series. So I'm thinking it's going to be a series.
Thank you, Vanessa. He appreciates it.
Thanks, Vanessa.
All the way from Atlanta.
Yeah.
Almost finished with book 1. That's awesome. And then we have Kim Huddleston. Andy and I are watching Sean. Way to go. You got some people.
Yep.
You got a good
all
support
great people.
group. That's good. That's good.
Yeah. And, I couldn't do it. I couldn't do any of this without the support of my family, my daughters, my parents, my wife, my wife, God bless her. I mean, she puts up with the late nights and the keyboard tapping until 2:00 in the morning. And, and she's my sounding board when I'm stuck. She does a lot of, I'll read a whole chapter to her and she'll say, no. Or, that's perfect. And, her words carry a lot of weight as far as a critique partner. And, I can't thank her enough for everything that she does. All of my, this sounds so weird to say, but all of my fans, the readers, I can't thank them enough, because none of this, I never expected this to go anywhere. And because of them and because of other people that have intervened, this has gone places that I still can't believe.
It's very cool. And my gosh, man, I look at your review, you've got thousands of reviews, and that's awesome.
I know, it's it's mind-blowing. It's mind-blowing.
Yeah, definitely.
And
go ahead.
I'm sorry. I do get emails. I do hang out on a couple of Facebook aspiring writers groups, and there's always the self-doubt about being able to do something like this, about sending
always every book you'll have.
Yes. It never, the imposter syndrome.
Yes.
It never goes away.
Yeah.
It's always there, but you just got to have the support system in place, and you got to have people that you trust, and just believe in yourself and send it.
You, sir, have support system, and you are not an imposter.
I appreciate that.
What's your big inspiration?
Pardon?
What's your biggest inspiration, Kim? It's from Kim Harmon.
What's my biggest inspiration?
You don't have to mention names if you feel I'm going to be embarrassed.
No. It goes back to the strong people in my life. My wife, when I was writing book 1, she was diagnosed with breast cancer, and we went through that whole thing while I was writing book 1. The strength and the endurance and the ability to just get back on her feet and not let it win is an inspiration. Looking at the strong work ethics of like my father or my father-in-law, who unfortunately passed away a few years ago, but their work ethics have driven me, and between the three of those, I can't quit. I can't stop. I don't have it in me.
Good for you.
Yeah,
good for you. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, you're having a success that is admirable and enviable. And good
that.
For you. Enjoy it.
Thank you.
Got one question for you.
Uh-huh.
So when you told your publisher you were coming on this show, how bad did he slam Alan?
Oh, he did not.
He slammed him, didn't he?
No,
come on.
Not.
He just
He
Oh,
did
come
not.
on.
He
How
was
can he not? Look at him.
he was so excited. I mean, he shared his excitement was comparable to mine, I think.
Yeah.
And he, he is just, I think he's kind of, extremely happy with where this has gone.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Well, I don't follow any advertisements or anything. I just read a little bit of a story, and if I like it, I continue on. So that's the only. I mean, when it came to me being a fan and choosing you, it was strictly on your writing alone, brother. I
No,
enjoy
I
your work.
appreciate that. I appreciate that so much. Thank you.
Yeah,
I know I come off as a real smartass, but I am I'm a true reader through and through.
yeah,
Thank
picky. So that's high praise right there.
yes, thank you.
Very selective. Let me read this question, Sean. John Daniels. Any possibility for film adaptations?
I haven't heard anything. I would love to see that. I mean, who wouldn't love to see their stuff?
Always open to that, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
who wouldn't love to
Yeah.
see their stuff on the big screen
Right.
or a TV series, and I would be astounded if that happened. I mean, I would just be blown away. You never know though. You never know.
I mean, because you see some garbage out there, and there's other stuff, like your books. They make a great series,
Mhm.
a great TV series. But you see, they want to retry. I see they're doing True Lies. They've got a series. I mean,
I don't watch any TV anymore.
they've got
I don't.
Jill and I will turn on Netflix or something, and we're just like going, why aren't any of my friends have their stories up there in these movies? Because this stuff is poorly written, poorly acted, poorly presented.
Mhm.
It's like, what the F, people?
It's almost like Hollywood can't come up with anything new, so they're just rehashing everything that they used to do. So
yeah, it's like, here's an idea. Go to Amazon, look at the books on there, grab some ideas,
yeah.
Oh, I tell you, the indie market for books, what has done for storylines in general. I mean, everything was so formula when all we were getting was brick and mortar stores. I mean, there were some great series out there. I loved them, but they were very formula and very similar to themselves, like the Sword of Truth series, and and it just went on, and the Wheel of Time was probably the last of them. But then all of a sudden, this indie market comes, and the type of stories we get, and the genres, and it just blew everything up. So that we're reading things now that are so, I don't know if the term is advanced or just so far out there compared to what we had when we were growing up as a kid, and I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
The innovations in storylines and the
and that's
freedom that authors are doing as independent.
Mhm.
Because we're all, all of us, when we're doing our first, second, third books, we're like, well, fuck it. Nobody's going to probably read it anyways. I'm just going to write whatever.
Just send it. Yeah. I have had this conversation with writers that want to get started. They want to get into this, and they always say that, well, the werewolf story has been written a million times, and my comeback is, the EMP story has been written a million times. Put your spin on it, make it your own, and go with it. Just send it.
It goes along
have
the
fun with
lines
it.
of what it goes along the lines of what I was told by a very good musician one time was, there are only so many chords in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
So are you going to hear a rip or an intro repeated? Absolutely. It can't be avoided. And it's the same thing with story concepts. I mean, there's only so many concepts available. It's just putting your own spin on it, putting it in your own voice. And so I love what the indie market has done for literature in the vein of storytelling.
Oh, it has opened it up so much. So much.
Sean, we've got 30 seconds. Is there anything you'd like to say to people out there.
Well, I want to thank you guys up front. Being here is awesome. I want to thank my guy Dan over at Creative Text. Fantastic dude. My family.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks for not sending me that letter, Dan. Appreciate it, Dan.
My
Eat
family.
shit, Dan. No, I'm kidding. I love Dan when he was on the show. He was a lot of fun, actually.
Fantastic dude. My family and all my readers. I couldn't do it without you guys, and I appreciate everything.
Well, thank you for coming on, Sean. You've been a lot of fun. I thank your family for showing up, and I love support like that. That's great.
It's couldn't do it without it.
Awesome. Yeah. But
I enjoyed this. This is great. Yeah. And I'm going to enjoy your book next week as soon as I finish up the one that I'm listening to now.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
And I'm going to grab your new series whenever that comes out.
I'm hoping soon.
Well, great.
Right. Good luck to you, brother. Kudos on your success.
Oh, thank you. You guys have a great night.
You too.
And
take care. And us too.
All right. Bye-bye. Thank you.